Victoria Chen looked at her computer screen and sighed. It was almost midnight and she was still at the office. The building was quiet now. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. But Victoria couldn't leave, not yet. She had too much work to do. She was the CEO of Tech Vision Solutions, a technology company she had built from nothing. It had taken her 10 years of hard work, long nights, and many sacrifices. Now at 35 years old, she was finally close to her biggest dream. Her company was about to be bought by a larger corporation for $500 million. $500 million. The number still amazed her, but the deal had to be perfect. Every document had to be checked. Every number had to be right. That's why she was here so late, making sure everything was ready for the big meeting next week. Victoria stood up and stretched. Her back hurt from sitting too long. She walked to the window and looked down at the city below. The lights looked like stars scattered across the dark ground. She felt proud. This was her company. Her success. She had done this all by herself. Her phone buzzed on the desk. Victoria walked back and picked it up. She had a new message from an unknown number. She opened it and felt her heart skip a beat. "You don't deserve this success. You will lose everything." Victoria stared at the message. Who sent this? She looked around the empty office. Suddenly, the big space felt scary instead of comfortable. She tried to call building security, but before she could dial, something happened. All the lights went out. Victoria stood frozen in the complete darkness. Her office was on the 15th floor. Without lights, she couldn't see anything. Not her desk. Not the door, nothing. "Hello?" she called out. Her voice sounded small and scared. "Is anyone there?" No answer. Only silence. Victoria's phone screen gave a tiny bit of light. She used it to find her way toward the door. Her heart was beating fast. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The backup lights should have turned on by now. They always did during power cuts. She needed to get out of the building. Fast. Victoria remembered there was an emergency exit near the elevator. She walked slowly, using her phone light to see. Her expensive high heels clicked on the marble floor. The sound echoed in the empty space, and she reached the hallway. It was even darker here. No windows. No light from outside. Just complete blackness. Victoria felt her way along the wall. Her hands were shaking. Where was the emergency exit? It should be right here. Then she saw it. A small red sign glowing in the dark. Exit. Relief rushed through her body. She moved faster, reaching for the door handle. But the floor was wet. Victoria didn't see it in the darkness. Her high heel slipped on the slick marble. Her foot went sideways. She tried to catch herself, but it was too late. She fell. But she didn't just fall down. She fell backward down the stairs. The emergency exit led to a staircase, and Victoria tumbled down hard. Her body hit each step once, twice, 3 times. She tried to grab the railing, but her hands couldn't catch it. Finally, she stopped at the bottom. Pain exploded everywhere. Her ankle felt like it was on fire. Her head throbbed. She couldn't breathe properly. Victoria tried to move, but her body wouldn't listen. She tried to stand, but her left leg screamed with pain. She looked down and saw her ankle bent at a strange angle. It didn't look right at all. Tears filled her eyes. Not just from the pain, but from fear. She was alone, hurt, unable to walk. And someone had sent her that threatening message. Was this an accident? Or did someone do this on purpose? She heard footsteps above her. Someone was coming down the stairs, slowly, one step at a time. Victoria's heart raced. She tried to crawl away, but the pain was too much. She couldn't move. The footsteps came closer. She could hear breathing now. "Please," Victoria whispered. Her voice was weak and broken. "Please don't hurt me. I can't walk." The footsteps stopped. Victoria could see a dark shape standing above her. She couldn't see the person's face, just a tall shadow looking down at her. "Ma'am?" "Miss Chen, are you okay?" The voice was gentle, concerned, not threatening at all. Victoria blinked through her tears. The person took out a phone and turned on its flashlight. The light hurt Victoria's eyes, but she could finally see who it was. It was a man in a janitor's uniform. He looked about 40 years old, with kind eyes and worry all over his face. Victoria had seen him before. He cleaned the building at night. She had passed him in the hallways many times, but she had never really looked at him, never spoke to him except for a quick nod. "I'm Marcus," the man said, kneeling beside her carefully. "I'm the night janitor. Don't move, okay? You're hurt badly. I'm calling for help right now." Marcus took out his phone and dialed 911. He spoke quickly but calmly. giving the address and explaining what happened. Victoria watched him confused. Why was he being so nice? Most people would just call for help and leave. But Marcus stayed. He talked to her gently while they waited. "The ambulance is coming," he said. "They'll be here in about 8 minutes. Can you tell me where it hurts the most?" "My ankle," Victoria managed to say. "And my head. Everything hurts." Marcus looked around and then took off his jacket. It was worn and old but clean. He folded it carefully and placed it under Victoria's head like a pillow. Then he took off his work shirt, leaving just his t-shirt on, and covered Victoria with it to keep her warm. "You're in shock," Marcus explained. "We need to keep you warm. Don't try to move your ankle. It looks broken." "The lights," Victoria said. "Someone turned off the lights. I got a message. Someone threatened me." Marcus's face became serious. "I know. I saw someone messing with the electrical panel about 20 minutes ago. That's why I was coming up to check. I thought something was wrong." "I heard you scream." Victoria stared at him. "You saw someone?" "Who?" "I don't know. They ran when they saw me coming. But this wasn't an accident, ma'am. Someone did this on purpose." Fear rushed through Victoria again. She had enemies. In business, everyone had enemies. But she never thought someone would actually try to hurt her. Not like this. In the distance, they could hear sirens. The ambulance was coming. Marcus held Victoria's hand. His hand was rough and calloused from work, but his touch was gentle. "You're going to be okay," Marcus said. "I promise. I won't leave you alone." Victoria didn't know why, but she believed him. This stranger, this janitor she had never really noticed, was the only person there when she needed help. He didn't run away. He didn't ignore her. He stayed and helped. The paramedics arrived and rushed down the stairs with their equipment. They asked Victoria questions and checked her injuries. Marcus moved back to give them space, but he didn't leave. He stood at the top of the stairs watching, making sure she was okay. As the paramedics carefully lifted Victoria onto a stretcher, she looked back at Marcus. Their eyes met for just a moment. She wanted to thank him, but the words wouldn't come out. She was too tired, too hurt, too scared. Marcus gave her a small nod as if he understood. "I'll make sure your office is secure," he called down. "And I'll tell the police what I saw." Then Victoria was being carried up the stairs and out to the ambulance. The lights and sounds became a blur, but one thing stayed clear in her mind. The image of Marcus kneeling beside her in the darkness, his voice calm and kind, promising her that everything would be okay. She had begged him not to hurt her. But instead, he had saved her. Victoria closed her eyes as the ambulance doors shut. The pain medication the paramedics gave her was starting to work. She felt herself drifting away. Her last thought before she fell unconscious was strange. She wondered why she had never noticed Marcus before, and she wondered if she would ever see him again. Victoria woke up in a hospital bed. The room was white and bright. Machines beeped softly beside her. Her head felt heavy and her whole body ached. She tried to move her left leg and gasped. The pain was sharp and immediate. "Don't move that leg," a nurse said, walking into the room. "You had surgery last night. Your ankle was badly broken. The doctor put pins and plates in to fix it. Surgery, broken ankle." The memories came flooding back. The dark office, the fall, the threatening message. And Marcus, the janitor who had helped her. "How long will I be here?" Victoria asked. Her throat was dry and her voice sounded rough. "At least a few more days," the nurse replied, checking the machines. "Then you'll need to stay off that leg for several weeks. You also have a concussion, so we need to watch you carefully." Several weeks. Victoria felt panic rising in her chest. She couldn't stay off her leg for several weeks. She had the biggest business deal of her life happening. The board meeting was in 5 days. She had to be there. "I need my phone," Victoria said. "And my laptop. I have important work." The nurse shook her head. "No screens for at least 24 hours. Doctor's orders. You have a concussion. You need rest, not work." Victoria wanted to argue, but a doctor came in before she could. He explained her injuries in detail. Fractured ankle in 3 places, mild concussion, bruised ribs, cuts and bruises all over her body. She was lucky, he said. It could have been much worse. Lucky. Victoria didn't feel lucky at all. After the doctor left, Victoria lay in the bed feeling sorry for herself. Her company needed her. Her employees needed her. How could she run everything from a hospital bed? And who had tried to hurt her? The police had come by earlier to ask questions, but she couldn't tell them much. Just about the message and the lights going out, there was a soft knock on the door. Victoria expected another nurse or doctor, but instead Marcus walked in. He was wearing regular clothes now, not his janitor uniform. Jeans and a plain blue shirt. He carried a large bag. "Ms. Chen," he said, looking uncertain. "I hope it's okay that I came. I brought some things I thought you might need." Victoria was surprised. "You came all the way here?" "The hospital is only a few blocks from my apartment," Marcus said. "And I wanted to make sure you were okay." He held up the bag. "I went to your office this morning. Security let me in because I explained what happened. I brought your laptop bag, your phone charger, and some important papers that were on your desk." "I hope that's okay." Victoria stared at him. He had done that for her? Thank you. That's very kind." Marcus set the bag on the table beside her bed. "I also talked to the police. I told them everything I saw last night. About the person at the electrical panel. They're checking the security cameras. Did you see who it was?" Victoria asked. Marcus shook his head. "It was too dark. Just a tall figure in dark clothes. But I know they went straight to the electrical room. They knew what they were doing." Victoria felt cold despite the warm hospital room. Someone in her building, someone who knew the layout, had done this. But who and why? "I should let you rest," Marcus said, moving toward the door. "I just wanted to make sure you got your things." "Wait," Victoria called out. She didn't know why she wanted him to stay. Maybe because he was the only person who had been there when she was scared and hurt. "Can you stay for a minute? I want to thank you properly. You saved my life." Marcus looked uncomfortable with the praise. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," Victoria said firmly. "They wouldn't have. You stayed with me. You kept me warm. You called for help. You could have just walked away." Marcus sat down in the chair beside her bed. "I couldn't do that. I know what it's like to be scared and alone." Something in his voice made Victoria look at him more carefully. There was a sadness in his eyes that she recognized. It was the same sadness she sometimes saw in her own mirror. Over the next few days, Marcus came to visit Victoria every morning. He would stop by before going home after his night shift. He brought her real coffee, not the terrible hospital coffee. He brought her newspapers and magazines. He even brought her fresh flowers once, which made Victoria cry for reasons she couldn't explain. They talked during these visits. Real conversations. Victoria learned that Marcus was a single father. His daughter Emma was 7 years old. His wife had died 5 years ago from a heart condition that nobody knew she had. One day she was fine and the next day she was gone. "I'm sorry," Victoria said when he told her. "That must have been terrible." Marcus nodded. "It was the hardest thing I've ever been through." Emma was only 2. She doesn't remember her mother much, which makes me sad. But maybe that's better. She doesn't feel the pain of missing her. "You're a good father," Victoria said. "I can tell by how you talk about her." Marcus smiled. It was the first real smile Victoria had seen on his face. "She's my whole world. Everything I do is for her." Victoria wondered what that felt like. To love someone so much that you would do anything for them. She had her company, her success, her money. But she didn't have anyone to share it with. No family close by. No real friends, just business associates. When she had fallen down those stairs, there was nobody to call. Nobody who would rush to the hospital to be with her, except Marcus. And he was practically a stranger. On the 3rd day, Marcus brought Emma with him. The little girl was shy at first, hiding behind her father's legs. She had long, dark hair and 2 braids and big brown eyes. "Hi, Emma," Victoria said gently. "Your dad has told me a lot about you." Emma peeked out from behind Marcus. "Are you the lady who got hurt?" "Yes, I am. I fell down some stairs." "That happened to me once," Emma said, coming a little closer. "I fell down the stairs at school. I cried a lot." "Did you cry?" Victoria smiled. "Yes, I did cry. It hurt very much." "My daddy says you're very brave," Emma said. "He says you run a big company and you're very smart." Victoria looked at Marcus, surprised. He had talked about her to his daughter. Marcus looked embarrassed. "I just mentioned that you were recovering from an injury," he said quickly. Emma climbed up on the chair beside Victoria's bed. "Can I sign your cast?" she asked, pointing at the large cast on Victoria's leg. "I would like that very much," Victoria said. Marcus gave Emma a marker, and the little girl carefully drew flowers and hearts on the white cast. She wrote her name in big letters. Victoria watched her and felt something warm in her chest. When was the last time a child had been this sweet to her? After Emma finished, Marcus told her to go sit in the waiting room for a few minutes. He needed to talk to Ms. Chen about something important. Once Emma left, Marcus's face became serious. "I've been thinking about what happened to you, and I've been watching the building more carefully." "What do you mean?" Victoria asked. "I mean, I've been paying attention, really paying attention, and I've noticed things. Strange things." Victoria sat up straighter, ignoring the pain in her ribs. "What kind of things?" Marcus pulled out a small notebook from his pocket. "People coming and going at odd hours. Visitors who don't sign in properly. Someone accessing areas they shouldn't be in. I've been writing it all down." "Why?" Victoria asked. "Why are you doing this?" Marcus looked at her with those sad, kind eyes. "Because I think someone is trying to hurt you, or hurt your company, and I think I can help figure out who." Victoria was confused. "But you're a janitor. Why would you?" She stopped, realizing how rude that sounded. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that." "It's okay," Marcus said. "I understand what you mean. But I wasn't always a janitor, Ms. Chen. Before my wife died, I worked in cybersecurity. I was good at it too. I analyzed threats, found patterns, protected systems." "Then why are you cleaning buildings?" Victoria asked, though she immediately regretted the question. It was too personal, but Marcus answered anyway. "When my wife died, I fell apart. I couldn't focus on work. I made mistakes. Big mistakes. I got fired, and with a 2-year-old to take care of, I needed money fast. The janitorial job paid the bills and let me work nights so I could be with Emma during the day. After a while, it became just what I did. I stopped trying to get back into my old career." Victoria felt ashamed. She had looked at Marcus and just seen a janitor, someone in the background, someone not important, but he had a whole life, a story, skills and talents she had never bothered to notice. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Don't be," Marcus replied. "Most people don't see janitors. We're invisible, which is actually useful right now. Because nobody pays attention to me. I can watch and listen without anyone caring." Victoria thought about this. "What have you noticed?" Marcus opened his notebook. "Someone has been accessing the server room after hours. 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Different person each time. According to security logs, someone has been in your office 4 times when you weren't there. And someone disabled the backup generator the night you fell. That's why the emergency lights didn't come on." Victoria felt cold again. This wasn't random. Someone was planning something. "I think there's something wrong in your company," Marcus said. "And I think that's why someone hurt you. To keep you away while they do whatever they're planning." "But the deal," Victoria said. "The acquisition. It happens in 2 days. I have to be there. Can you be there?" Marcus asked, looking at her cast. Victoria's doctor had already told her no. She couldn't put any weight on her leg for at least 6 weeks. Victoria went home from the hospital after 5 days. But home didn't feel like home anymore. Her modern apartment was on the 3rd floor with no elevator. She couldn't climb the stairs with her broken ankle. Marcus helped her find a temporary ground floor apartment in the same building. He even helped her move her essential things. "You don't have to do all this," Victoria said as Marcus carried in another box of her clothes. "I know," he replied simply. "But you need help and I'm here." Victoria watched him from her wheelchair. The doctor had given her a wheelchair and crutches. She hated both of them. She had always been independent, strong. Now she couldn't even get herself a glass of water without struggle. The next morning, Marcus arrived early with Emma and breakfast. Emma had made drawings for Victoria, pictures of flowers and sunshine and stick figures holding hands. "This one is you," Emma said, pointing to a stick figure with yellow hair. "And this is my daddy. And this is me. We're all friends now." Victoria felt that warm feeling in her chest again. "These are beautiful, Emma. Can I keep them?" Emma nodded enthusiastically. "Daddy says you're going to help people find the bad guy who hurt you." Like a detective, Marcus looked embarrassed. "I had to explain why we're spending time with you. I told her we're helping solve a mystery." "That's exactly what we're doing," Victoria said, smiling at Emma. "Your daddy is very smart. He notices things other people miss." After Marcus took Emma to school, he came back to Victoria's apartment. They had work to do. Victoria had her laptop set up on the dining table. Marcus had his notebook full of observations. Tell me about the people you saw in the building, Victoria said. The ones who seemed suspicious. Marcus flipped through his notes. There's a man I've seen 3 times. Tall, always wears expensive suits. He comes around 11 at night. He has a key card, so he has access. But he doesn't work for any of the companies in the building according to the sign-in logs I checked. What does he look like? Victoria asked. Asian man, probably in his 40s. Short hair, always on his phone. Victoria felt her stomach drop. That sounds like Richard Huang. He's my vice president of operations. But why would he be there so late? His office is on the 10th floor. He goes to the 15th floor, Marcus said. To your floor. I followed him once, staying back so he wouldn't see me. He went into your office. He has a key to my office, Victoria said slowly. I gave keys to all my vice presidents in case of emergencies. Marcus nodded. I think he's been going through your files. Looking for something. Victoria thought about Richard. He had worked for her company for 3 years. He was good at his job. Very good. But he was also ambitious. He had asked to be made a partner in the company several times. Victoria had always said no. She didn't want partners. She wanted to maintain full control. Why would Richard want to hurt the company? Victoria wondered out loud. His job depends on the acquisition going through. If we fail, he loses everything too. Unless he has a deal somewhere else, Marcus suggested. What if he's working for the other company? The one that wanted to buy you? Victoria's mind raced. The acquisition had attracted attention from 2 major companies. TechVision Solutions had chosen the higher offer. But the other company had been very unhappy about losing. Their CEO had even called Victoria personally, making thinly veiled threats about how she would regret her choice. We need proof, Victoria said. We can't accuse Richard without evidence, Marcus agreed. That's where my old skills come in. I still know how to track digital footprints. If Richard is communicating with the other company, there will be traces, emails, calls, money transfers. But you'd need access to company systems, Victoria said. I can give you that access, but it has to be secret. If Richard finds out we're investigating him, he'll destroy evidence. They spent the rest of the morning planning. Victoria gave Marcus special access codes to the company's systems. She made up a fake consulting position for him in the security department. As far as anyone knew, Marcus was just a new security consultant reviewing the building's safety protocols. That afternoon, while Victoria worked on preparing for the board meeting from her apartment, Marcus went to his regular janitorial job early. But instead of cleaning, he was watching, observing, taking pictures with his phone. He called Victoria around 8 that evening. Richard just went into the server room. He's in there right now. Can you see what he's doing? Victoria asked. I'm going to try to get closer. Victoria held her breath as she waited. A few minutes later, Marcus called back. He was downloading files. Large amounts of data. He put it all on a portable hard drive. That's theft, Victoria said angrily. He's stealing company information. And I have pictures of him doing it, Marcus said. This is evidence. Victoria felt a small surge of hope. They were getting closer to the truth. But they needed more. They needed to know who Richard was working with and what he planned to do with that stolen information. Over the next 2 days, Marcus became Victoria's eyes and ears in the building. He documented everything. When Richard met with a strange man in the parking garage, Marcus took pictures. When Richard made quiet phone calls in empty hallways, Marcus listened from around corners. When Richard accessed files he shouldn't have seen, Marcus noted the times and dates. Victoria, meanwhile, started her own investigation. She went through financial records from her wheelchair. She checked Richard's expense reports. She looked at his communications with other companies. And slowly a picture began to form. Richard was in debt. Serious debt. He owed money to gambling establishments. He had taken out 3 personal loans in the past year. He was desperate for money. And someone had offered him a solution. Victoria found emails on the company server that Richard thought were deleted. Emails to someone at Cortec Industries, the company that had lost the acquisition bid. The emails talked about payment for services rendered. They mentioned ensuring the deal falls through. They discussed eliminating obstacles. He sold me out, Victoria said to Marcus when he came over that evening. Richard made a deal with Cortec. If he sabotages our acquisition, they'll pay him $500,000. Marcus looked at the emails on Victoria's laptop. This is serious. This isn't just corporate espionage. He tried to hurt you physically. Victoria nodded, feeling sick. I trusted him. I gave him a good job, good pay, and he tried to kill me. Not kill, Marcus said gently. I think the plan was just to scare you and access your files. Your fall was an accident. He probably panicked when you were there so late. That didn't make Victoria feel better. Richard had still betrayed her, had still put her in danger, had still stolen from the company she built with her own hands. The board meeting is tomorrow, Victoria said. What do we do? Marcus sat down across from her. We expose him. We present all this evidence to the board. We show them what Richard has been doing. Will they believe us? Victoria asked. Richard is popular with the board. They like him. And they don't know you. They'll believe the evidence, Marcus said firmly. Facts don't lie. We have pictures, email, security footage, financial records. Richard can't talk his way out of all that. Victoria looked at Marcus. Really looked at him. This man who had been invisible to her just days ago. This janitor who turned out to be so much more. He had helped her when she was helpless. He had investigated when she couldn't. He had become her friend when she had none. Why are you doing all this? Victoria asked quietly. Really, why? Marcus was silent for a moment. He looked down at his hands, those rough working hands that had held hers in the hospital. 5 years ago when my wife died, I lost everything. He said slowly. I lost my job. My career, my confidence. I felt like a failure. I had a little girl depending on me, and I couldn't even keep a job. I took the janitorial position because it was all I could get, and I told myself it was temporary. But years passed and I got comfortable. I stopped trying to be more than what people saw when they looked at me. He looked up at Victoria. When I found you on those stairs, hurt and scared, I saw myself. Someone who had fallen, someone who needed help getting back up, and I realized I had a choice. I could walk past and pretend I didn't see like so many people did to me. Or I could stop and help. You did more than help, Victoria said. You saved me. And not just from the fall. You're helping me save my company. Marcus smiled. And you're helping me remember who I used to be. Before I was just a janitor. You believed I could do this investigation. You trusted me. That means more than you know. Victoria reached across the table and took his hand. We make a good team. Yes, Marcus agreed. We do. They spent the rest of the evening preparing for the board meeting. Victoria practiced her presentation. Marcus organized all the evidence into a clear timeline. They worked late into the night ordering takeout food and drinking too much coffee. Around midnight, Emma called. She was at the neighbor's house where she stayed when Marcus worked nights. She wanted to say goodnight to her daddy. Victoria heard Marcus talking to his daughter, his voice becoming soft and gentle. Yes, sweetheart. I'll be home soon. Yes, I'll read you a story in the morning. I love you too. Sweet dreams. When he hung up, Victoria said, You're a really good father. I try, Marcus replied. The morning of the board meeting arrived. Victoria woke up early, her stomach full of nervous energy. Today was the day. Everything she had worked for would either succeed or fail. And she would finally confront Richard about his betrayal. Marcus arrived at 7 with coffee and breakfast. He also brought a suit. Victoria had never seen him in a suit before. He looked different, professional, confident, like the cybersecurity analyst he used to be. You look nice, Victoria said. Marcus smiled a little. I borrowed it from my neighbor. I figured I should look the part if I'm going to present evidence to your board. Victoria had dressed carefully too. She wore her best business suit. Though putting on pants over her cast had been a challenge, she had done her makeup and hair perfectly. She wanted to look strong and in control even if she felt nervous inside. Are you ready for this? Marcus asked. I have to be, Victoria replied. There's no turning back now. They arrived at the Tech Vision Solutions office building at 9. The board meeting started at 10. Victoria's assistant Jennifer met them in the lobby. Her eyes widened when she saw Victoria in the wheelchair. Ms. Chen, we didn't expect you to come. The doctor said you needed rest. This meeting is too important, Victoria said firmly. Jennifer, this is Marcus Rivera. He's our new security consultant. He'll be presenting some findings to the board today. Jennifer looked confused but nodded. Of course. I'll let everyone know you're here. Marcus pushed Victoria's wheelchair to the elevator. As they went up, Victoria felt her heart beating faster. She had faced tough business negotiations before. She had given presentations to hundreds of people, but this felt different. This was personal. The elevator doors opened on the 15th floor. Several employees stopped and stared when they saw Victoria. They whispered to each other. Victoria Chen, the CEO who never missed work, was in a wheelchair. What had happened? Was she okay? Would the deal still go through? Victoria held her head high and smiled at them. Good morning, everyone. Don't worry. I'm fine. Just a small accident. They made their way to the large conference room. The board members were already gathering. 10 people total. All of them powerful. All of them expecting a smooth meeting to approve the acquisition deal. Richard was there too. He stood near the window talking on his phone. When he saw Victoria, his face went pale. Then he quickly put on a smile and came over. Victoria! What a surprise. We didn't think you'd make it. Are you all right? Victoria looked at him coldly. I'm fine, Richard. Thank you for your concern. Richard glanced at Marcus. And who's this? This is Marcus Rivera, our security consultant, Victoria said. He has some important information to share with the board today. Richard's smile tightened. I wasn't aware we had a security consultant. There are many things you're not aware of, Richard, Victoria said. We'll discuss them shortly. The board meeting began. Victoria's chairman, Mr. Thompson, called everyone to order. He asked Victoria if she was well enough to lead the meeting. Yes, Victoria said. In fact, I have some urgent matters to discuss before we talk about the acquisition. Mr. Thompson looked surprised. Urgent matters? What kind of matters? Matters of corporate theft and sabotage, Victoria said clearly. The room went silent. Everyone stared at her. Richard shifted in his seat, his face carefully blank. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Thompson said. Do you have evidence? Yes, Victoria said. Marcus, please begin the presentation. Marcus stood up and connected his laptop to the projector. He looked nervous for a moment, then took a deep breath and began. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been documenting suspicious activity in this building, Marcus said. His voice was steady and professional. What I discovered is a coordinated effort to steal company information and sabotage the acquisition deal. He clicked to the first slide. It showed a photo of Richard entering the building late at night. The timestamp read 11:15 p.m. This is Richard Huang, Vice President of Operations, entering the building on a Saturday night when no one else was here. Marcus continued. Security logs show he accessed the 15th floor and Ms. Chen's office. Richard stood up. This is ridiculous. I sometimes work late. That's not a crime. Please sit down, Richard, Mr. Thompson said firmly. Let's hear all the evidence first. Marcus showed more photos. Richard accessing the server room. Richard meeting with a man in the parking garage. Richard downloading files onto a portable hard drive. Who is the man in these photos? One board member asked. Marcus clicked to the next slide. It was a close-up of the man's face. This is David Wu, Chief Technology Officer of CoreTech Industries. The room erupted in shocked whispers. CoreTech Industries was the company that had lost the acquisition bid. They were TechVision's direct competitor. This proves nothing, Richard said, but his voice was shaking now. I can talk to whoever I want. True, Marcus said calmly. But the contents of these emails might be harder to explain. He displayed several emails on the screen. Emails from Richard's personal account to David Wu. Emails discussing payment for inside information. Emails about making sure the deal falls apart. Emails mentioning specific files that Richard would provide. The board members looked shocked. Some looked angry. Mr. Thompson's face was red. These emails were deleted from the company server, Marcus explained. But nothing is ever truly deleted. With proper forensic tools, everything can be recovered. This is fake, Richard said desperately. Someone is framing me. This is all fabricated, Victoria spoke up. Is it also fabricated that you're $300,000 in debt, Richard? That you've taken out multiple loans? That CoreTech promised you $500,000 to sabotage this acquisition? Richard stared at her. How do you know about my debts? Because I did my research, Victoria said. Just like you should have remembered that this company has excellent digital security. Everything you did left a trail. Marcus continued the presentation. He showed financial records proving Richard's debt. He showed bank statements with deposits from shell companies connected to CoreTech. He showed security footage of Richard stealing files. The evidence was overwhelming. There's one more thing, Victoria said quietly. On the night I fell and broke my ankle, someone cut the power to this building. Someone also disabled the backup generator. That person was you, Richard. Richard jumped to his feet. That's not true. I would never try to hurt you. I didn't say you tried to hurt me, Victoria said. I said you cut the power. You did it to access my office without the security systems recording you. You needed to get into my personal files I keep on a separate computer that's not connected to the network. You couldn't hack them remotely, so you had to physically access my office. You're insane, Richard said. I didn't cut any power. Marcus pulled up another image. This one showed the electrical room. This is footage from a security camera you didn't know about. A camera I installed myself after Miss Chen's accident. It shows you entering the electrical room 20 minutes before the power went out. The image was grainy but clear enough. It was definitely Richard. You cut the main power and disabled the backup, Victoria continued. You thought the building was empty, but I was working late. When I tried to leave in the dark, I fell down the stairs. I broke my ankle in 3 places. I could have died, Richard, all because you wanted to steal my files. The room was completely silent now. Richard looked around at the board members. Their faces showed disgust and anger. His plan had failed. He had been caught. I want him arrested, Victoria said to Mr. Thompson. For theft, for sabotage, and for reckless endangerment. I've already contacted the police. They're waiting outside. Mr. Thompson nodded. He pressed a button on the phone in front of him. Send in the officers, please. 2 police officers entered the room. Richard looked at them, then at Victoria. For a moment she thought he might try to run, but instead he just sat down heavily in his chair. This wasn't supposed to happen like this, Richard said quietly. I just needed the money. They promised me nobody would get hurt, but someone did get hurt, Victoria said. I got hurt, and you destroyed your own career. You threw away everything for money. The police officers handcuffed Richard and led him out of the room. He didn't look at anyone as he left. The board members sat in stunned silence. Finally, Mr. Thompson spoke. Victoria, I'm so sorry. We had no idea this was happening. If we had known, it's not your fault, Victoria said. Richard was very careful. Without Marcus's investigation, we never would have discovered the truth. All the board members looked at Marcus. He stood there in his borrowed suit, looking uncomfortable with the attention. You did excellent work, Mr. Rivera, Mr. Thompson said. Where did you work before joining TechVision? I was a cybersecurity analyst for several years, Marcus said. Before I changed careers. Well, I hope you'll consider staying with us, Mr. Thompson said. We clearly need someone with your skills in our security department. A permanent position, not just consulting. Marcus looked surprised. I'd have to think about it. I have other responsibilities, of course, Mr. Thompson said. Take your time. Now let's discuss the acquisition. Victoria, are we still on track? Victoria smiled. Yes, with Richard's sabotage exposed and stopped, everything is in order. I recommend we proceed as planned. The rest of the meeting went smoothly. 6 months had passed since that dramatic board meeting. Victoria stood in her office looking out at the city below. She was standing. No wheelchair. No crutches, just her own 2 legs strong and healed. Physical therapy had been painful and exhausting, but she had worked hard. Just like everything else in her life, she had refused to give up. The acquisition deal had gone through successfully. TechVision Solutions was now part of a larger corporation, but Victoria had negotiated to remain as CEO. The company was thriving. Profits were up. Employee satisfaction was the highest it had ever been. Everything was going well. But the biggest changes weren't about business. They were about people. Victoria heard a knock on her door. Come in, she called. Marcus walked in wearing a nice suit. Not a borrowed one this time, but his own. He looked confident and professional. He had been the director of security for 4 months now, and he was excellent at his job. The entire company's security system had been upgraded under his supervision. There hadn't been a single breach or incident since he took over. You wanted to see me? Marcus asked. Yes, Victoria said, smiling. How's the new program going? Marcus smiled back. Better than expected. We've hired 3 former janitors for our tech support team. All of them had skills and experience but needed a second chance. They're doing great work. This had been Victoria's idea. After learning Marcus's story, she realized how many talented people were working in invisible jobs because life had knocked them down. She had created a program to identify these people and give them opportunities to use their real skills. The program was already getting attention from other companies who wanted to do something similar. That's wonderful, Victoria said. I'm proud of what we've built here. Not just the company, but the culture. People matter now. Really matter. You've changed, Marcus observed. You're different than you were 6 months ago. Victoria nodded. I had to fall down to learn how to really stand up. Does that make sense? Perfect sense, Marcus said. There was a knock on the door again. A small voice called out, Ms. Victoria, are you in there? Come in, Emma, Victoria called. The door opened and 7-year-old Emma ran in. She had grown taller in the past 6 months. Her hair was longer now, pulled back in a ponytail. She carried a backpack covered in colorful stickers. Daddy, Ms. Victoria, look what I got. Emma held up a paper. I got an A on my math test. That's fantastic, Victoria said, giving Emma a high five. I knew you could do it. All that practice paid off. Emma beamed with pride. She came to the office every day after school now. Victoria had set up a small space for her with books, games, and a computer loaded with educational programs. Sometimes Emma did her homework. Sometimes she played. Sometimes she just drew pictures. Can I show you what I'm working on? Emma asked. It's a computer program. I'm making a game about princesses and dragons. I'd love to see it, Victoria said. But first, I need to talk to your dad about something important. Can you wait in the playroom for a few minutes? Okay, Emma said. She gave her father a quick hug and skipped out of the office. Once they were alone, Marcus looked at Victoria curiously. Something important? Should I be worried? No, Victoria said. Not worried. But I need to discuss something with you. She walked over to her desk and picked up an envelope. This came today. It's an award. The Business Innovation Award for our Employee Development Program. They want me to accept it at a ceremony next month. That's great, Marcus said. You deserve recognition for what you've built. Not me, Victoria corrected. This program was your idea as much as mine. You should come to the ceremony with me. As my co-director. Marcus looked surprised. Victoria, I'm just the security director. I don't need awards. You're not just anything, Victoria said, using the phrase that had become special between them. And this isn't about what you need. It's about what you've earned. You've changed lives, Marcus, including mine. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Something in his eyes made Victoria's heart beat faster. Over the past 6 months, they had become close. Very close. They had lunch together most days. They worked on projects together. They talked about everything. Their pasts, their fears, their dreams. But they had never talked about the feeling that was growing between them. The way Victoria's day felt brighter when Marcus walked into a room. The way Marcus looked at her sometimes like she was something precious. They had both been hurt before. They were both careful with their hearts. Victoria, Marcus said quietly. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why do you always include me in everything? The awards, the programs, the decisions. You're the CEO. You don't have to share credit with anyone. Victoria moved closer to him. Because you're important to me. Not just as an employee or a colleague. You're important to me as a person. As a friend, as... She trailed off, not sure how to finish. As what? Marcus prompted gently. Victoria took a deep breath. She had faced down corporate criminals and tough business negotiations. But this felt scarier than all of that, as someone I care about. More than I've cared about anyone in a very long time. Marcus's eyes widened. Victoria, You don't have to say anything, Victoria interrupted quickly. I know you have Emma to think about. I know you might not feel the same way. I just wanted you to know. You changed my life that night when you found me on the stairs. And you've continued to change it every day since. Marcus reached out and took her hand, his rough, calloused hand that had held hers in the hospital, the hand that had helped her up when she fell down. I do feel the same way, Marcus said. I've felt it for months. But I didn't think someone like you could care about someone like me, a single dad with a complicated past and a 7-year-old daughter. Emma isn't complicated, Victoria said. She's wonderful. And so are you. What about your world? Marcus asked. Your business associates? They're not going to understand a CEO dating her security director, especially one who used to be a janitor. Victoria squeezed his hand. I don't care what they think. I've spent my whole life caring what people think, trying to prove I was good enough, smart enough, successful enough. But when I was lying on those stairs, hurt and scared, none of that mattered. What mattered was that someone cared enough to help me. You taught me that people are more important than image. Marcus smiled. You're pretty amazing, you know that? I'm learning, Victoria said. You're a good teacher. They stood there, hands clasped, looking at each other. Then Marcus leaned forward slowly, giving Victoria time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't want to. Their lips met in a soft, gentle kiss. It felt right. It felt like coming home. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. What do we tell Emma? Victoria asked. The truth, Marcus said. That you're someone very special to me, and that if it's okay with her, I'd like to spend more time with you, as more than just friends. Do you think she'll be okay with it? Victoria asked nervously. Marcus laughed. Are you kidding? Emma has been asking me for weeks when I'm going to ask you to be my girlfriend. She already considers you part of our family. Victoria felt tears in her eyes. Happy tears this time. I'd like that. Being part of your family. The office door burst open and Emma ran in. Daddy, Miss Victoria. You have to see my game now. The princess just found the magic sword. Marcus and Victoria looked at each other and laughed. Marcus went to his daughter and picked her up, spinning her around. Okay. Let's see this amazing game. They all walked together to the small playroom that Victoria had set up. Emma showed them her computer game, explaining every detail enthusiastically. Victoria watched Marcus interact with his daughter, so patient and loving. She felt something warm and full in her chest. This was what happiness felt like. Not closing a business deal or making money, but being with people you cared about. People who saw you for who you really were and loved you anyway. The weeks passed. Marcus and Victoria's relationship grew stronger. They went on dates. Real dates. To restaurants and movies and parks. Emma came with them sometimes, and those times were Victoria's favorite. She learned to braid Emma's hair. She helped with homework. She taught Emma about computers and technology. Victoria also spent time learning to be less formal, less rigid. She had always been so serious about everything. But Marcus taught her how to laugh. How to play. How to see joy in small moments. Marcus thrived in his new career. He developed innovative security systems that other companies started copying. He presented at conferences. He was offered jobs at bigger companies with more money, but he always said no. He was happy where he was. 1 year after Victoria's accident, the company threw a celebration. 1 year since the acquisition. 1 year since Richard's betrayal had been exposed. 1 year since everything changed. The party was held in the main conference room. All the employees were there. Music played. Food covered long tables. People laughed and talked. It was a happy occasion. Victoria stood at the front of the room and gave a speech. She talked about the challenges they had faced, the changes they had made, the growth they had achieved. She thanked the employees for their hard work and dedication. But most of all, Victoria said, I want to thank the person who reminded me what really matters, a man who saw someone in trouble and stopped to help, even though he didn't have to.